What's going on, everyone? So reports have came out that the New Orleans Pelicans are shopping their three main core pieces, the three guys that they were planning on trying to win an NBA championship with, and that is Zion Williamson, Brandon Ingram, and CJ McCollum. They are pushing hard, based on reports, to really kind of move off of those guys, obviously for the right package, obviously for the right deals. It's interesting because DeJounte Murray, and they even said in the article that DeJounte Murray is not they're not trying to push to trade him hard. Now, still is very likely obtainable, but they want the right return, which I get makes sense, right? You're probably not getting what you paid for him for, which was Dyson Daniels and 2 firsts. So you're almost better off keeping him. He's a point guard. If you can get the right pieces, you may be able to kind of be a good quality team, and you kind of got your all-star caliber point guard, guy that give you a near triple-double on a nightly basis, and kind of, you got Herb Jones, you got Troy Murphy III, right? Can you turn Zion, Brandon Ingram, and CJ McCollum into the kind of pieces that you need to maybe get back into, being a competitive team at least, if not a playoff team? Zion Williamson is expected to be back sooner rather than later. He is expected to start practicing very soon. Brandon Ingram is expected to be reevaluated in 2 weeks, based on reports. So Zion could be back on the court playing in a week or two. Where Brandon Ingram, he's expected to. They're looking at early January for him to come back and return, which is a problem for the Pelicans in the trade front, in the trade market, right? Because teams are going to want. Brandon Ingram doesn't have the best injury history. Teams are going to want to see him come back and stay healthy. So, they need him to get back sooner rather than later. If you're the Pelicans, you're in trouble, right? I mean, we talked about this a month ago, right? Like before Zion and everything. Made a video and I talked about the Pelicans need to consider tearing it down. They need to consider. It didn't work. It sucked. It's unfortunate because we saw this team on several seasons, when healthy, were as high as the 1 seed in the West for a good stretch and winning against good teams. It wasn't like they were just beating a bunch of bad teams. No, they're beating good teams. They look like a very good team. Zion was finally starting to look like that top 5 potential guy that we all thought he would be coming into the league, right? Going into this season, there was so much optimism for the Pelicans. It's like, man, you just got DeJounte Murray. Finally, you got the guy that can put it all together. You got multiple wings, you got size, you got depth, you got literally everything you could need on this roster. This roster looks like it can compete with the best of them, potentially be a champion team, right? Zion just lost 30 pounds. That game before he got hurt against the Lakers, he finally looked like the Zion we all wanted him to be, like that give me the basketball and get out of my way. There was talks in the offseason of Brandon Ingram's probably going to get traded, wanted to be out. Okay, sure, could that be kind of this dark cloud hanging over the team? Possibly, but even if you just turn them into serviceable depth, right? And you go to DeJounte Murray, Herb Jones, Troy Murphy III, Zion Williamson, you need to go get a center. So can you turn Brandon Ingram into a legit center? If you can do that, you might actually have a contending team. You might actually be that team with multiple sizable wings that can be 3-and-D. And you got Jose Alvarado and CJ McCollum and all these guys that can come in, really play a role for you, really kind of impact this game on a multitude of levels, right? You got Missy, who's just coming into his zone and looking great, right? If you would have still had that growth and potential. So much optimism for the Pelicans, and it all just came crashing down. And it's unfortunate. But, I don't think you can blame the Pelicans for trying. There are so many teams that don't even care, that don't want to win, they don't want to do it. They're happy and content, just making money, selling tickets, selling jerseys. They care less about all the other ins and outs. And it's unfortunate. It sucks to see because, there's teams that really do want to win. There's fans of these teams that don't want to win and don't care, that don't make the things. And, it's just every year. Or if they do want to win, they just make poor decisions. Like Sacramento. Right? I would hate to be a Sacramento fan. I feel so bad for Sacramento fans. Right? You haven't been good in 20 years. You finally get a team that is on the right track, on the right trajectory. Right, you lost in a tough series against the defending champion Warriors on a young team that just finally got into the playoffs as one of the top seeds. All you had to do was stay the course. And what do? You go and you trade for DeMar DeRozan as if that is what you needed. It's just, I'll never understand some of the decision-making that some of these teams make. But you look at the Pelicans, again, they tried. They wanted to win. They tried to put this insane roster together, which on paper is insane. Again, DeJounte Murray, Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson, CJ McCollum. That's a roster. Right? Like, that's a squad. Again, you just go get a serviceable center, you're in business. Right? Seriously, you'd be in great shape if you're them. Right? Like, and unfortunately, it didn't work out. So now you got to move off. Problem is, they're not going to get anything for these guys, and that's the problem. Like Brandon Ingram, you're not getting much of anything, right? Like, you might not even be able to trade Brandon Ingram. Zion, you're not going to get anywhere near the return. I do think that they would get something. Again, there are some bad teams that make bad decisions, and there's some teams that just that see the dollar signs. You don't think that there's teams that are just looking at Zion and just seeing dollar signs? Like, man, imagine even if he only plays 20 games a season, we'll make $1 billion during his contract just by having him in jersey sales and ticket sales when he does play, especially if you have like that, like I've talked about with Charlotte, right? Like, Charlotte, I think, makes a lot of sense for Zion, and kind of go home, right? Like, it does make some sense, right? But even if it doesn't work, it's like just the idea of LaMelo, Brandon Miller, and Zion playing alongside each other. Like, as a basketball fan, you gotta love it. People would flock. It's one of those things. If you build it, they'd come. Right? So, like, even just from a financial standpoint, teams would probably give you something for Zion. Plus, his contract is non-guaranteed going forward. But to me, it's just like you got to move off of them sooner rather than later. If you're the Pelicans, sell them to the highest bidder, take what you can get. Because the problem is, the longer that you draw it out, the worse it's just going to get. He's just going to keep getting hurt. He doesn't want to be there. Everybody knows he doesn't want to be there. I mean, it was the worst kept from the moment he was drafted. Everyone knew he didn't want to be there. It's literally the worst kept secret in the league that he doesn't want to be in New Orleans. That he wants to be in a big market team. He wants to be in New York. Right? Like, send him to a place. You're probably not going to be able to send him to New York, but, it's just like, again, sell him to the highest bidder and let them figure it out. Let it go be somebody else's problem. And then take your foundation. Take your kind of key core guys. CJ McCollum, again, you're not going to get a huge return for CJ, but there's some teams, like, there were even reports that teams had called and inquired about CJ McCollum because he is a guy that does make some sense, got some experience, has been to a conference finals, guy that has hit big shots, beat 20 points, he's, a career 20-point a game scorer, even as like the third, fourth option, right? Like, the guy is excellent at kind of just being that slot in guy, easy kind of plug and play guy for most teams. Just the contract is what would be tough to kind of get to for most teams. But whatever you can get for these guys, and then just hit the reset button. Like I said, you got DeJounte Murray, Herb Jones, you got Missy, who is now your center, that could be your center. You got Troy Murphy III. So you basically got your point guard, your shooting guard, small forward, center. You just need a small forward. You basically need another 2 through 4 guy. And, can you hit on that? Maybe go make another trade. Maybe get that in a trade. Can you go get another piece or two? Like, I think you'd be in really good shape. If I was the Pelicans, I said this, like I said, a month ago, I would tear everything down. I'd even look to trade DeJounte, honestly. Like, the problem is, like, Troy Murphy, Herb Jones, right? Those are the guys that you want to keep. Okay, fine, keep them. But DeJounte, if you can get the right return for DeJounte, even if it's not quite what you gave up for it, right? Say it's, a young player and a first. Right? Like, it's like, it sucked to kind of lose a first just to lose it, but sometimes you just got to cut your losses. Sometimes it's just like, hey, it is what it is type thing. But we'll see how it plays out, because it's going to be very interesting in my opinion. Pelicans, kind of seeing where Zion's going to go, where's Ingram going to go, where's CJ. Did any of them leave? Are the Pelicans able to trade any of them? That'll be interesting. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, and I pass a question to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? What do you think the Pelicans should do? Do you think they should trade Zion, the highest bidder? Do you think that just kind of stand pat? Let Ingram fall off the books, trade CJ to the highest bidder, kind of hit the full reset button here. I feel whatever your thoughts are. Either way, love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out. It's me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.